Are you ready for the Super Bowl of telemedicine regulation? So 2024 is being called just that by industry insiders who are looking at a lot of the state and federal trends that are coming out of the legislative process as states gear up right now in the beginning of 2024 to meet for their legislative sessions. And recently, Congress, a bunch of members of Congress, bipartisan senators, and members of the House of Representatives all met in December of 2023 with the American Telemedicine Association. All of them advocates for telemedicine, and some of them are saying we should gear up for the Super Bowl of telemedicine regulations. We'll get more details in a second, but if you're new here, go ahead and hit subscribe so that you never miss new updates, as we will be tracking this throughout the year and beyond here at Functional Lawyer. Um, let's jump right in. I'm Scott Radigan, attorney and founder of Functional Lawyer. I wrote the book on the practice of telemedicine, so if you don't have that, grab a copy of it. But why they're calling it that is a few key reasons. Number one, recently in October specifically of 2023, DEA extended flexibilities from COVID all the way through the end of 2024. Now, this is why the Super Bowl is happening. But for a quick recap, since the beginning of the pandemic, March 2020, there was no in-person requirement before you could prescribe controlled substances to a patient. Now, that was scheduled to end in April, but a lot of pushback from a lot of industry stakeholders, hospitals, advocacy groups, including physicians groups and other licensed provider groups, as well as um, hospitals and other groups as well, and a lot of attorneys and stakeholders and legislators even too pushed back on that in April. They kicked the can down the road to November, but still hadn't made enough progress, so they extended it all the way through 2024. So by the end of 2024, either we will get new rules from DEA or Congress, or the in-person requirement will return for all controlled substances. Now, this has been a rule since 2009. Didn't know that, please follow us at Functional Lawyer. It got waived at March 2020. So for the past 3 years and going on, it'll be 5 years, or close to 5 years by the time December 2024 rolls around. We're living under this paradigm, and some industry stakeholders are saying, it's a modest request to keep the status quo. It's not a crazy thing. We've been doing it for close to 5 years, and so let's ensure there's a path for legitimate providers to prescribe controlled substances to patients with whom they've had an established relationship. So, quick background: the Reinhart Act of 2008 set up this in-person requirement because there were so many websites where you could just go and basically purchase controlled substances, specifically ones like OxyContin and others that are highly addictive and really detrimental if not used appropriately under medical supervision. In that act, there was supposed to be a carve out for legitimate practitioners practicing over telehealth. Um, it's actually in the act, but DEA has never implemented it. And that's why there was such an uproar in 2023. So we'll get an answer one way or the other at the end of this year, or they'll get another extension. But even though there's a lot of support from actual members of Congress and the Senate, um, some of their staffers have thrown some water or a wet blanket over some of the optimism, saying, you know, Congress is what it is right now. There's not a lot of bipartisan action happening, and it's just it's an election year, and so there will be fewer days in Congress to actually pass legislation. So we'll see what happens there. Maybe the DEA will take the ball because they don't have the same hurdles there as an executive branch agency. They can just go ahead and do their thing. So um, tons of new legislation coming out this year in 2024. 35 bills got passed around the country expanding access to telemedicine last year, and they've all either taken effect or about to take effect here in January 2024. So stick around to Functional Lawyer, and we'll be on top of all of that with more details about each of those and monitoring the 2024 legislative season as well to let you know how you can practice telemedicine safely and legally in as many states as you can while not getting into trouble or practicing medicine in an unauthorized state without a license, which would subject you to some liability. And we don't want that. We don't want me to be saying the story of your case in a future video. So stick around for the Super Bowl of telemedicine regulation. I know, not that exciting, but for policymakers who don't have anything else to do in their life, including me, it is very exciting development. And so we'll see you guys in the next video.